and you guys can just fill them in, all right? So, let's talk interest. Most of you guys, no offense, are interest ignorant, if you will, okay? All right? You don't understand what interest is, all right? And so, this is just going to be my quick little deal. Like I said, interest can be a good thing, it can be a bad thing, okay? What's probably one of the worst things that interest is charged? Well, okay, first of all, make sure you understand this before I ask this question. Okay, so interest is money that you either pay for borrowing money or money that's paid to you for you investing your money. So if you put your money in a savings account, it normally has a very small interest rate. So if your parents are taking money of yours and putting it in a savings account, it's growing by a little bit. The banks don't keep your money. Yes, they do, but they don't. Most things, when I was your age, I thought about a bank would just put the money in the bank. I put my money in the bank and it would sit in a safe. What do they do with your money? Reed wants to buy a car. Here you go, Reed. Here's $30,000. They give me an interest rate, so they're going to pay me a little bit of money for my money, but then they take that money and they give it to somebody else and they charge them a higher interest rate, and so Reed's paying the bank back, and so they're making money off of your money. So interest can either be paid to you for investing, or it's paid for renting their money, okay? What's the worst interest you guys can get just about nowadays? Worst thing is you guys end up paying interest on. And it's a very big danger, especially for you kids. Now, no. In your lifetime, here's the deal. Your grandparents, okay? Most of your grandparents, when they were young, they paid for everything in cash. Or your great-grandparents, okay? Everything in cash. What do you see most of your parents paying for everything with now? Credit cards. Now, debit cards are different. Debit cards, you swipe the debit card or insert it, it takes money directly out of your account. But most credit cards, you are told, hey, I like you so much, I'm going to give you a $10,000 credit limit. And what that says is I can swipe until I get $10,000 or however much. But here's the problem. Lots of people, end of the month, what happens? You get the bill and you have to pay it. And if you can't pay it, the interest rate on a credit card, most credit cards are 15% or so or above that, which is a very high interest rate, which means you end up spending a lot more than you have, and next thing you know, you're in big time debt. Okay? Most of you are going to end up buying a house someday. Okay? Your parents, when they buy a house, you get a mortgage. You have to pay, you're paying rent on your house for 30 years before you officially own it from the bank. The bank owns it and you're paying them back. Okay? That's what interest is, guys. Nothing is free. Okay? So you're paying interest is what you're getting. So when we look at this, real quick, we call it the pretty formula. There's different types of interest. This is called simple interest because you only find the interest one time. Okay? So here it is. I is your interest. So that's either money that you have to pay extra or money that you get extra for investing your money. Nod your head if you're with me on that so far. Make sense? P stands for principal. That is the amount you either borrowed or you invested. So you put money in the bank, that's how much money you started with. Or if you buy a $30,000 car and you borrow $30,000, that's the amount you started with. That's a principal. Okay? R is your rate. When you guys think about rate, you should be thinking percent. Tax rate, tip rate, commission rate, okay? Discount rate. They're all percent. So this is, once again, decimal form. Now this is the one that can trick you. T is time, in years. That's the biggest thing. You got to have it in years. So what you guys should have done is, here are the notes that you guys should have filled in if you watched the video. So they give you a problem that says you deposited, which means you put money in the bank for $500 into a savings account. It earned 3% simple interest. What is your balance after 3 years? So going through each step, 500, was that interest or principal? Principal, that's what you put in. So you put it underneath your P. 3% is your rate. You put it as a decimal. And T is time in years, and it was 3 years. You multiply it, you get $45. Now, think logically about your answers once again. If I put $500 in the bank and all the bank gives me is $45 back, am I going to be happy? No. That's the extra money they're going to pay me for putting my money in the bank. So the balance is the total with interest. So 500 plus 45 is $545. So at the end of 3 years, that's how much money I would have. Okay? All right, so flip over real quick on your worksheet. If you've already done your homework, great. You're just going to follow along and see if you did it. If you did it wrong, you're going to fix it. If you haven't done it at all, I'm going to do 3 questions with you. So here we go. Everybody, write pretty formula. I equals P R T. Now notice, I spread out the letters a little bit so I have room to show my work. Okay, next. Where is the 750 going to go? That's our principal. Okay, that's what you started with. Okay, 6% goes under what letter? R. That's my R. So I'm going to put it in as 0.06. And 3 years is my T. Okay. Now, is I all by itself? Yeah, it's just a regular equation like we've always done. Is I by itself? Yes. So now we get to multiply, and you get, take your calculator, multiply it. You got it? What was it? 135. Now, logic should tell you that you're not just getting 135. You now need to do what with that? Find the balance. The balance is 750 plus 135, so your balance is $885. Okay? So don't forget to do the second part of the question. Find the balance is what you get. So if this was money that you invested, you now have $885. If you borrowed money, so your parents might joke with you, say, oh yeah, I'll give you 20 bucks, but I'm going to charge you interest. Well, that's kind of the idea. So if I borrowed $750 after 3 years at 6%, I would owe $885. Okay? All right, now notice, what's wrong with number 2? I'm going to skip number 2, but what's wrong with it?
It's 6 months within the whole year, so you have to turn it into a decimal.
Very good. If you guys put 6 in for your T, you're saying 6 years, not 6 months. And so, those of you that don't know how to do that, how do we change months to years? We're going to divide by how many months? 12 months in a year. Divide by 12, and that's going to equal your years. Okay? And you want it in its decimal form. All right? Okay, next example, if you flip back over, really quick. This is what, this time, you have your deposit, which is your principal. You have the account's interest earned. You have $100 in interest. You had time is 4 years. Your R is what's missing. So notice what they did. They multiplied, got 4,000. Elsa, if you think back to our equations, solving our equations, Elsa's R, we need to get rid of 4,000, so we divide by 4,000. There's the decimal form of the percent, so it's 2.5%. Okay? Once again, you need time to fill this in. You watch the videos. Okay? Flip over. Let's do number 5 together. All right? Everybody writes I equals P R T. All right. Now this is really easy because they even give you the letters. So I is 60. So that goes underneath our I. That's the interest you're going to pay. Principal is 500. Now this is T is 18 months. If I put 18 underneath T, the formula is now believing you're just doing, you're borrowing the money for 18 years, not 18 months. How can I change 18 months to years? Read. Very good. So 18 divided by 12 is 1.5 years. So we put in 1.5, and now we have R. Build your castle wall, and we're going to go. Take your calculator, do 1.5 times 500. You should get 750 times R. Now we want to get rid of 750, so we're going to divide both sides by 750. And your rate is 0.08, somebody says. Double check, make sure you guys are happy with it. And move your decimal point over to, you're going to have 8% is your rate. Okay? so we've just done 2 of your problems. Now the last example is we're missing time, I believe. So you flip back over, now you're missing time. This one. All right, so you guys are just going to have to do your homework on your own. All right, this one. You have your interest, you have your principal, you have the percent. Now here's how they figured out, I'm not going to worry about percent. You borrowed $800, or you invested $800, so you're going to be in this category, which is 2%. Okay? So there's your 2%. Don't pack it up yet. We will work to the bell. Do not pack your stuff up. Now we're going to multiply, we get 16, and we're going to divide. Same thing, except now you're isolating t. All right, so let's do one more example on the back, and double check those of you that have it done. And if we look at number 7, I equals P, R, T. I is your 42. Principal is 800. R this time is 3%, so it's 0.03, and T is your time. So you need to multiply these first. So if you take your calculator and multiply it, you should know that 8 times 3 is 24. And then you're just going to have to move the decimal point over 2, so it's really just 24. T, divide both sides by 24. And T is going to equal. So do 42 divided by 24. And you get what? 1.75, which you should know that 0.75 of a year, or 0.75 is what fraction? 3/4. So it's 1 3/4 years. Okay? Okay, now, your homework, everybody.